From Berlin, we are now joined by Ben Aries, founder and editor-in-chief of BNE IntelliNews and also former Moscow bureau chief for the Daily Telegraph. Thank you so much for joining us on WION and welcome back. Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov, referring to these airstrikes against Russian territory, says our patience will not be long. What message is Moscow trying to send to the West at this point?
It's saying that the West is escalating and that Russia will respond in kind. I mean, what's going on at the moment is that the US, the Biden administration, is surging all its supplies. It has a bunch of money, some $6 billion that it hasn't spent, and that it's buying and sending as much arms and weapons as it can before Biden has to give up office in January. And at the same time, Biden has crossed another red line. I mean, he seems to be rushing across them at the moment by giving Zelensky's long asked for permission to use these powerful cruise and ballistic missiles supplied by the West on targets inside Russia. This is an attack using NATO weapons on Russian territory. And the Kremlin has responded by saying, look, we consider that NATO's direct participation in the war in Ukraine.
It absolutely is. And if that happened to us, we'd say Russia is directly participating in our invasion of whatever we're invading. If they start launching missiles over here and telling us to stop or giving the people that we're attacking that ability, then that's a direct attack from Russia. That's how the United States would look at it. And it's no other way to look at it, except that we need to find a way as being as strong as we are militarily to calm down the planet, to be able to, even with people who are considered our enemies, we need to be able to sit down with the understanding of the devastation that could ensue as a result of this conflict. And we're over here talking about Russia. We're not talking about their allies in China and Iran. They have other folks who could strike at us from other sides, and we probably have enough military might to hold them all off and probably even defeat them. But in the process, it's just hard to wonder what this planet would look like. What kind of win would that be for the United States of America? And is that the kind of victory that you want feathering your cap? Maybe not.
Their point being is that the sophisticated missiles, the Shadow Storm and the ATACMS, they need Western satellites in order to navigate, and that has to be done by NATO operatives. They have to be controlled ultimately by NATO officers because the Ukrainians don't have those satellites, don't have those skills. And so the Russians are taking this as all as a serious escalation. And so, as I say...
How could you not take it as a serious escalation? The United States has its officers operating their equipment to guide the missiles to strike sites in Russia. And Joe Biden approved this. That's a goddamn act of war. Congress needs to be involved with a 79, 80-year-old man making a decision that could end the planet as we know it. Yes, Congress needs to be involved. I have no idea how that happened. And it just lets me know, had Kamala Harris won, where we'd be heading with this. Because they thought she was going to win, and look what Joe Biden's doing now that he knows she didn't win, and what he's got to hurry up and try to get done. What is he going to get done? Hey, does he hate the Ukrainians? Does he want to see more of them die? What is he trying to do?
Yeah, Lavrov is trying to draw another line here, is saying that our patience is wearing thin. We've accepted you crossing these lines. We accepted the Ukrainian incursion into Russia, the first since Second World War with the Kursk operation. But our patience will run out at some point. And
typical bully behavior. If a bully slaps you upside the head and you say, hey, you know what? Leave me alone. You know what I'm saying? I don't want no problems or whatever. They're never going to get tired of slapping you. The United States crossed the red line after red line after red line because Russia has to be able to maintain its security. The United States has to have the ability to maintain its security. North Korea, everybody on this planet has a place, and no one else should be directing their land and what they do with it. And people say, well, what about Ukraine? Ukraine is setting Russia up for some serious problems that maybe Russia won't be able to handle. They're trying to invade Ukraine, and they got the UN kind of helping, and it's way more death over there than it needs to be. So if the UN was actually a part of Ukraine, we'd be dealing with something like what we're seeing over there in Israel. Lockstep, no way we're going to back off, and they'd be calling the shots, and we'd be in the background just basically like supplying money and weapons, and they're so pissed off over whatever issue might be going on or retaliatory action they're taking that we all have to no, we shouldn't stomach that, and we shouldn't pocketbook that, and we shouldn't fund it, and nothing else. And it shouldn't be on our conversation list. Joe Biden is an asshole for doing that. He should not have done it. What kind of a goddamn president? His whole president has been fucked up, and then he gets down to the very end, and look what he does. It's just on the way out. He's just letting you all know how he feels for real. Because if he really cared about the country, like the Democrats are saying, they're worried about a democracy. They should be more worried about losing the goddamn planet. Democracy. It's nothing to really worry about when you start launching nuclear weapons.
And
Democracy
they
won't
answered that
count.
very definitively by firing this new Oreshnik ICBM at Ukraine, a weapon that has a range of 5,000 kilometers and can hit any capital in Western Europe and is also capable of carrying nuclear warheads.
Yeah. And that's the country you want to launch missiles at. Oh, America, please give me some of your missiles so I can launch it. There is a finite amount of missiles you're going to get from the United States. Do you understand that, Zelensky? So when you run out, and you will, I don't know what you plan on doing in 2 months, but you're going to piss Putin off so bad in 2 months. And Donald Trump is not going to be the soft hearted, kind person who's going to let you talk him into bullshit. Because ultimately, the United States should be the peacekeeper of the planet as best it can be. Unless we're attacked, man, we got the military might to negotiate better deals than what we've been doing.
And despite all of this, Ukraine continues to urge the West to pile on more pressure against Russia after missile strikes have further crippled the country's energy.
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder, is Zelensky really calling for this shit? Or is this something that Biden wants to do? And he's just doing it at the expense of the Ukrainian people's lives. Because if he is, he's an asshole again for that. I mean, why can't the man just get it? Don't risk those people's lives. Don't put those people in jeopardy. Would you put the people in one of our states in jeopardy if we were at that close to an enemy and could potentially be wiped out, and all we had to do was up the ante and escalate the war? Escalate it just a little more, and then those people could be in the line of fire. Why would you want to do that? These people are really, really close to being wiped out over there. He's strategically striking their energy facilities. As a result of that, people are going to die because they just lack of resource, lack of heat. And it's going to go beyond that without direct hits. Just the residual. It's just terrible.
Infrastructures. Now we have about 1 million Ukrainians without power. How do you see things moving forward from here?
Well, it's the same story, isn't it? I mean, this barrage that we've seen in the last 24 hours targeting more energy infrastructure as, temperatures go sub-zero in the Ukraine is Russia's immediate response to this surge of American aid and arms. And there was a move in August where the Ukrainian and Russian sides were proposing to have initial peace or ceasefire talks to stop targeting those energy facilities, because you have to understand how cold it gets in Ukraine in the winter, that the apartments will become unlivable if they are completely cut off from power and heating.
Yeah, I know. It's really hard to believe that Zelensky could be that goddamn stupid, to just do enough just to piss this guy off who could really fuck things up over on your side, and you're willing to do that. I'm starting to really wonder, what is Zelensky's real approach? What is his end game? Where do you think this shit is going? Does he think he's going to become a member of NATO and World War III is going to happen to save Ukraine? I don't know. Is that what he wants? Or is it Biden who's really getting what he wants? The ability to strike some targets inside of Russia, kind of prod Putin a little bit and see if he's really a paper tiger. I wouldn't want to be the one to find out. I wouldn't care if he's a paper tiger. I'd rather respect him and deal with him in a way where he respects my nation and I respect his, and because we are both too big for this planet, to be honest, with the arms that we have. There should be no country on this planet that should have the means to destroy civilization as we know it. That should not happen. Too much corruption in man for that to even exist. But they get a bomb, we get two, they get three, we get a bigger one. Then I mean, it's never ending, and it's all the race just to end our own lives. And Zelensky, I just cannot believe that a leader or someone who was democratically elected is that stupid.
But those talks came to nothing, and Russia's making the point by going in the other direction and hitting even harder the energy sector, half of which is already being destroyed. For the Ukrainian side, Zelensky's in a desperate position. I mean, it's not widely reported, but the defenses in the Donbass are collapsing. That Reuters just reported this morning that Russians have taken back the most territory in a single week than they've taken since the start of the war in 2022. It's
Well, to let you know, the Russians have been slapboxing with Ukraine, and Ukraine does not have the ability to fight them without the assistance of the United Nations and namely the United States. So what do? Keep shuffling more, and Putin is only going to see so many of his people die and his country being threatened. That disrespectfully, it's just disrespectful to think that the leader of Russia doesn't understand how the world works and that you're going to be able to guide missiles that are going to cause damage on the. I don't know. Maybe you think that everybody else feels about their borders like you do about ours, Joe Biden. We don't. We wish our borders were respected like other countries are respecting their borders and fighting for their borders and making sure that their people are safe and not opening up the borders and allowing people in who can scare and harm the people. It's just something to think about from the presidential seat.
took back some 240 kilometers in a week. Whereas previously in the summer, in the stalemate, the Ukrainians or the Russians were making single kilometer gains or 10-kilometer gains in a week. And so Zelensky's desperate. I mean, he's welcomed all this surge from the US, but he needs a whole lot more. He needs fighter jets, tanks, and he's hoping that Trump's going to provide them. But I don't know, the conventional wisdom is, or the consensus is, that Trump's going to cut Ukraine off completely as soon as he takes office in January.
As he should. When he takes office in January, Biden, get out. And all that shit you did that we can stop, please, it got to go too. I just wish the United States had a different mentality with the amount of power and the amount of harm that this country has caused in the world. And to start trying to, make things right because you can. And without any harm to yourself. This country is a very well-funded country, but the people in this country are paying for nothing. We're not paying for what we're getting. We're being cheated and ripped off by our own government. And it's very sad to just have to say that for it to exactly be just like I said, just being ripped off. Taxes being taken, and if you don't pay, there are repercussions. You will be penalized. You will be dealt with. But what do they do when you do pay on time? What are they bargaining that they hold? We pay one department, they pass it all over the place. Shit, by the time you get done being mad, you don't even know where to start. You open your front door, and where would you go? Which direction? It's just that much going on. But anybody supporting Biden, turn to some channels that do have favorable things to say. They're not true, but they are favorable. And let's deal with the facts, folks. Let's get that old man out of there. Let's get that other old man in, but he got a lot more life left in him unless they find a way to unalive him, because I'm afraid that might be something that could happen. So get ready just in case. the country does what the country is known to do, have people come up missing. And hopefully, this president will get the same opportunity that any other president has ever gotten, and the support of the country. I mean, Democrat, Republican, it's not that much difference in them. There must be a difference in Trump because people are acting funny. So let's sit here and ride it out. Put the seatbelts on. Remember, everybody said we won't know for 2, 3 weeks, might be a couple of months. And that night we knew. That's not a close race. That lets you know those swing states were being decided definitively. And we need to all start waking up, and we need to stay focused and pay attention and be as hungry for this information and knowledge as you were during the election. Turn to these different channels, these diverse ideas and things you've never heard before, and listen to them, and listen to other things, and make up your own mind. Don't let your parents, and don't let your friends, and don't let other people, especially my black brothers and sisters out there, getting downright violent and desperate and talking crazy to people. I ain't gonna be F's friend no more because of the F. Like, wow, really? You gonna lose a friendship over an election choice? And most times it doesn't benefit, or it's just almost like a non-event for black people. They basically have us in a situation where we feel a level of comfort that we don't want to lose, because we do know there was a time we didn't have this level of comfort, and no matter how inferior it is to what the rest of the country, especially our white counterparts, might be living with the wealth gap and all, it just is what it is. And it's a level of comfort some people are just willing to live with. Nothing you can do about it. But with that, folks, we're gonna wrap. See you on the next Black Popcorn. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. We'll see you on the next one.